How's everyone doing today? It's CJ Halleck with CJHalleck.com. And if you're following along with us, we're in the middle of going through the different elements inside of Elementor's WordPress plugin, the page builder, and we're on images. So stick with us. We're going to go through using the image element, which is one of the basic elements inside of Elementor in the free and paid versions. So let's take a look at it. So I'm going to go ahead and drag in the image. And by default, it's going to give you a generic Elementor placeholder image. We're not going to be using that, obviously. So we're going to come over to the Choose Image section and click on Delete. Then the next thing we're going to do is click plus. And this is going to show us our image library. We can go ahead and, our media library. We can go ahead and click Upload Files. And I'm going to go ahead, I have it open in another window. And I'm going to just drag it over and drop the image we're using right in there. And if you're interested in finding images that you can use that are nice images like this, the little funny images like the Lego guy or this little stormtrooper, I use a bunch of different free websites that are out there. I did a video on that, as well as how to optimize the image for your website to help make it mobile friendly and load fast and all that fun stuff. And you can check that out in the previous video on my YouTube channel. So that being said, the next thing we're going to do is come in, and of course we're going to change the alt text and the description. I'm going to actually just copy and paste and make this easier. Alright, so now that we have the image in place, we're going to look at the different things that you can do with the image. Of course, you can choose the alignment. If you want it aligned left, right, center, whatever. You can enter a caption here if you want to have a caption underneath the image. And you can also choose to link the image out to something. If you wish to use this to link out to a different page on your website, excuse me, a social media profile, specific blog post, or something like that, you can do that right here by just going to custom URL, typing in the URL you want it to go to, and you're good to go. So for instance, if you wanted to link it to a specific page on your website, you'll go to your website, you'll open the page you want to send it to, and then you'll basically highlight that link, copy, and then you'll come over here and basically just paste it right in. Now, when you use links, there's a few things you want to make sure you do, and that's the link options. And what that does is that gives you the option to add a nofollow. I'm not going to get into that right now. That's basically for SEO stuff. But the one you do want to use is open a new window, especially if it takes them off of your website. Now, if the page is just a basic page and it doesn't really have a purpose, you may be okay, you may be okay with keeping it where it opens in the same window if you're going to like a blog post or something on the same website. But if you're changing websites at all and this URL that you're linking out to is not your main website, you always want to make sure that you have it set to open a new window. So, and that goes for images or links for any sort whatsoever moving forward. So now that we've done that, we're going to come into style. And this is where you're going to be able to do a lot of different things with the image. And this is basically how the image is loaded. So you can change the size by percentage or specific pixels. So you can see that is showing it 100% width. And this is based on percentage right now of the section that's available. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to just come back. We'll change it over to make it. And then, of course, you can change pixels if you want it to be so many pixels wide. And then you can set max width where it doesn't go past a certain point. And you would want to make sure you have that set. Specifically if you're working like this image is only 600 pixels wide. So, you may not have a need for it to be the full size. So you may want to do 30% of the width, which will take it a little bit smaller than the actual image size itself, but you'll be able to keep the resolution and stuff like that. So basically, if you do 50% width as the max width, that will make sure, because if you remember in the sections video, we talked about the background image and the background of the website normally loading, and we covered it also in the customized video, where the background is 1200. So if the image is 600 and we set it at 50%, then it's going to load at the actual size all of the time. And then of course you can hover effects, where if you hover it, it gives that opacity, kind of lightens up the image and goes through. Let's go ahead and delete that. You can also change hover animations, where it'll do fancy effects when you actually hover over it. The only time I would look into stuff like that is if you do have it linked. That makes it stand out and makes people know that there's a link. And then of course you can do border type. I'm going to go solid right now. So you can see, and of course it has the hover, fancy stuff where you see if you hover over it or not. You can change all that because it's under hover right now. So you can go normal. And then you see it doesn't really have the same settings. So you can go hover. You can change that. So we're going to do none. We're going to just go normal, because we don't want it separate when you hover over it. So I'm going to go ahead and do solid. And it brought the hover back up. Let's go none. Back to normal. Well, I don't know why it's doing that. It's probably because it's set default with the link. So I'm going to actually turn this off so that it doesn't mess with me. Alright. So now that we have that, you can change the width if you wanted to, kind of use it as a frame to frame in the image. But the one thing, and of course you can change the color. So let's make it green. The one thing that you can really do to change and make your website kind of stand out is, instead of using square rectangle images all the time, is you can kind of round the corners off, kind of make them pill shape or circle, whatever, and you do that with the border radius. So if you come into the border radius and you start changing the border radius, you notice it'll start making it, kind of rounded edges. And then if you want, you can take it all the way up and make it to where it's kind of like a pill. And you see, once it reaches a certain point, it doesn't matter what you take it to, it's not going to change the image. So if you're wanting something to be a circle, you need to upload the image as a square. So when you do this, it doesn't have that extra space at the top and bottom as this image does. And then of course you can do box shadow. And when you do the border radius, it will actually pick up that radius that you set. So it'll add a drop background image on the other side of the frame, or the border, if you will. Other than that, the rest in the advanced section all works the same as before. Margin is on the padding on the outside. And then padding is, or margin is the spacing on the outside. Padding is the spacing on the inside. So as I set this up, let's do 42. Well, still 42. All right. So basically, as I hover over this, you can see this is the section, this big box here. And then this other light blue box on the outside is the element itself. So the margin is going to be this spacing right here. It's 42 pixels from this line to this line. And then the padding is 42 pixels from this line to this line. And so forth on the sides, but because of the way it sits, you're not going to be able to tell the difference on the sides. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and delete these. And move forward. Of course, scrolling effect, you're not going to want images to be sticky. Like I said, the header is about the only time I'll use a sticky. Background, you can change the background if you want. I wouldn't do that because that will add the extra colors. Here, where the radius will turn in, you can kind of set like a different on the outside of it. Oh, let's just do it and show you. It will make it all gray inside of that element. And of course you can come in under advanced, and you can change the margins to not display that way. But for the most part, like I said, the background in advanced I normally don't use. And then of course border, if you wanted to have a border on it, let's get rid of that background. All right, responsive, this will allow you to hide it. And it basically, like I said before, this advanced section is basically going to be the exact same moving forward with the exception of one or two elements. And then, of course, custom CSS. So that being said, that is the image element for the Elementor page builder for WordPress. So thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked the video, please be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget to click that bell so you can get notifications when I upload new content. Hope everybody has an amazing day. Be great, stay boosted, and we'll see you at the top. Take care.